The progress on immigration that we talked about at the top of the show, and also the mayor just talked about, is hurting President Biden among a key group, Latino voters. Now, this is from the University of Texas Tyler poll. Shows Latino voters in the state are unhappy with the president. Of 300 Latinos polled on President Biden's job performance, only 13% strongly approve of his work so far, 22% approve, 54% disapprove in one way, 11% said they had no strong opinion. It seems the president's support might prove ineffective in the upcoming governor's race in Texas. Democrat Beto O'Rourke is toying with a run for that seat, reported by our friends at Axios. 45% of Texans approve of sitting Governor Greg Abbott's performance, 17% approval ratings among Latinos. That's above the president's 13%. However, it would not be a landslide election since 54% of those polled by the University of Texas Tyler say the state is headed in the wrong direction. Dr. Lauren Wright, associate research scholar at Princeton University, gives classes on the presidency and executive power, including the governor's offices, and joins us now. Good to see you, ma'am. Thank you. What do you make of Beto O'Rourke floating this idea of running for governor at the same time you have these massive problems on the Texas border and the president MIA and Abbott cracking down?
I mean, that's a tough one for Democrats in a Republican-leaning state. Yes, the demographics are changing, but it's still a reliably Republican state. I would pay attention to someone like Matthew McConaughey, even, who in the same poll that I checked out has 35% support, which is more than Beto O'Rourke and sitting senators and the sitting governor, which is really of interest to me, but let's watch it closely.
I think we're not going to be able to get any pictures of Matthew McConaughey quick enough, but I know the booth.
Well, everyone knows what he looks like.
I know the booth there, and you're smiling, talking about it. I guess the question is, Beto O'Rourke coming back in Texas. It was not too long ago. He said, "Yes, I want to take away your AR-15s and your AK-47s." That's when he was trying to run for president. I can't imagine that works very well in Texas.
I would be surprised if Republican opponents didn't constantly bring that up. And You're right. So Beto O'Rourke is a progressive Democrat running in a state where Democrats are not advantaged. And typically those candidates don't do that well. A moderate Democrat, perhaps with less of a publicized record, or at least not a progressive record, might be a better bet.
Yeah, you think about Democratic states where you got moderate Republican governors, Maryland, for example, where it works. This sort of begins to bring up a larger issue about what we're seeing on the Texas border. How is that going to play into the president's polling? And I know something you've studied, which is Kamala Harris's polling, since she's the border czar.
Well, to put that poll in context that we just talked about, Biden and Harris are down among all groups, not just Hispanic voters. And so I think it would be a mistake for Republicans to look at this and say, wow, look, that 8 percentage point gain that Trump made that was historic in 2020 is here to stay. And Democrats would be making a huge strategic error to just assume that as issues change and we get closer to the next election, Hispanics will come back into the fold. No one can really make those assumptions right now. And finally, when this poll was taken earlier in the month, if anything, Afghanistan and Delta and the economy were more salient issues than even immigration. And so it's possible these numbers get worse rather than better.
As we like to say here, two things can be true at once. And you point that out in terms of what Republicans and Democrats need to be worried about. You kind of wonder if this immigration issue goes away. We know the White House is hoping it does, so they don't have to keep dealing with questions like this. Take a listen.
Where's the vice president on any of this? Isn't she supposed to be addressing the root causes of migration?
Absolutely, and she has been addressing the root causes of migration by working with countries in the region to ensure they have the assistance they need to reduce the number of people who are coming and trying to make those journeys across the border. We've actually seen some reductions in some of those numbers. That doesn't change the fact that this is a very challenging situation in Del Rio. We're working to implement our policies, and we're working to ensure we are also addressing root causes.
Noteworthy, she also hasn't been to the border yet. Do people hold the president and the vice president accountable for what's happening, or whether they show up to see it firsthand and deal with it?
Well, that's a great question. Whatever is in the news that is a crisis falls on the president's doorstep. That's the most focal person in the government. And so they are ultimately held responsible for whatever is happening. However, on some issues like national security, presidents tend to get credit for response rather than prevention. So it's possible to make it out of this, but with the immigration issue in the Biden administration, a huge obstacle, and this is what I teach my public policy students, is the arbitrary nature of the policy. There needs to be a better, clear articulation of it. If there are a set of policies, defend them clearly.
Yeah.
But
You kind of want,
zero
we haven't.
tolerance also causes problems.
Yeah, we certainly have seen the White House on defense rather than articulating much when it comes to immigration over the past couple of weeks. Dr. Wright, always great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Leland.
All right.